IVM.
Hello and welcome to the Habit Coach podcast. I am Ashdin Doctor, your habit coach, and today we're going to be talking about something that is very interesting. It is about the mind and the hand and how they connect. Very often we hear stories and we hear in all these motivational books and everywhere we talk about write down your goals, write down your plans for the future, write down everything, write down your journaling. And when I started reading, I was like, why is this write down, write down, write down? When I started working with my clients, they're like, no, Ashton, is it okay if I just put it as a voice memo? Ultimately, you just want me to. But there's a big difference, and there's a mind and hand connect that takes place. And that is what we're going to be talking about today. And also, we're going to be talking about the power of your signature, because this is something that I was made acutely aware of. I was in one of our trust meetings, and when a trust meeting starts, everyone puts their signature, and some of the people had such beautiful signatures. And then I looked at mine and I was like, I need to work on mine. So, putting all this together, I have a fantastic expert with us to discuss this topic. So join me in welcoming Imran Baig to the Habit Coach podcast. Imran, welcome to the Habit Coach podcast.
Hi there. Thank you, Ashdin, for having me here, and really looking forward to add value to your listeners.
Thank you, Imran. Imran, when people talk about this mind-hand connect, right? What is this about? Tell us a little bit more about this.
It's very simple. We think handwriting is coming from your hand, but it's actually the brain which is actually writing. So it's actually your brain which is the writing, doing the writing. So that's why it's actually brain writing. The reason why we call it as handwriting is because majority of the population on the planet Earth uses hand as a medium to write. And I do have people who write with their feet and with their nose, with the mouth. In fact, I had a personal case study. I came across a student who got electrocuted while playing on the terrace, lost both his hands. He was in 8th standard, and somehow he was able to push across his academics until 9th. But 10th standard, he had to write his board examination. We trained him to write with his feet, and he got back to writing. And the surprising part was most of the strokes were very much similar to how he used to write with his hand. And in my experience of 17, 18 years, I have come across war veterans who lost their hand in the war, in accidents. And when they started using other hand, and apart from what they used to use earlier, they saw that the handwriting is actually coming back to the same what it was before. It takes little time to get your muscles alignment to that, and it is there. So the source is the brain, not the hand.
That is crazy. I had no idea this would. So if I start writing with the other hand, or if I start training myself, my strokes will look the same, because it wasn't the muscle memory that was there. It was what was there in the brain that was actually being.
Yes. In fact, we call people, there are people in the world who can write with both their hands, and we call them as ambidextrous people. So like we have Sachin Tendulkar, he bowls in one hand, the other hand he bats with. We have Amitabh Bachchan, who actually is an ambidextrous. Mahatma Gandhi ji had ambidextrous ability. So some of the top individuals are ambidextrous. They can write with both their hands.
Is it a worthy skill to try developing to become an
Well,
ambidextrous person? Like,
there are many ways of looking at it. One is, the study says if you're using the right hand, it is the left part of your brain which is more active, which is more of the grays, which is more of the numbers. And if you're using your left hand, it is the right brain which is actually working, and that means more, emotional connect, and then more, the different dimension of your behavioral and things like that. So it's good to have, because when you come across sciences like NLP, and things like that, they actually tell you how to, bring back your senses, the power of your senses, and using both the hands will also make sure that this is possible. Yes.
so love letters with the left hand and exam papers with the right one. Got it. Okay. So Imran, tell us about this mind muscle connect. Like, why is it so important for us to write down, like when we talk about our goals and we talk about the plans that we have for future and stuff like that? What is happening actually when you start writing?
Okay, let me put it across in a system which is called as graphotherapy.
Okay.
So grapho means lines, and therapy is a systematic way of writing. And as in, handwriting does the same job as any other tablet which you take in. You know what? Most of us have common cold, and most of the times when we have common cold, we don't necessarily have to go to a doctor. We do self-medication, right? We pick up a tablet, we actually take it. So the moment you take the tablet, what happens is it goes down to your tummy, it gets dissolved, it picks up by your blood, and it is working on your entire body. So what is the tablet doing? The tablet is nothing but this solid chemical formation which your body can also do. Your immune system is going so low that you have to take external supplements. Similarly, when you write, you're stimulating the part of your brain which releases chemicals. And Dr. Ashdin, this is all simple as anything you do, it is nothing but chemicals. You do exercise, why do you feel good? Because endorphins are getting released, your brain is reacting differently. Why do you listen to music? Because it releases certain chemicals, and that's why you feel in the blues. Sometimes you feel motivated and things like that. So handwriting is very much connected to that. I'm referring to a research which was done by University of California, Los Angeles in 1991, where they went on to discover just the slightest movement of the fingers has a huge impact towards stimulating certain part of your brain, which in turn brings in behavioral change.
Wow.
So this is why handwriting is connected. That's the reason most of the authors, most of the people who are established themselves as success coach, they always emphasize about writing. Why? When you write, you're actually triggering certain part of your brain, which in turn brings in that motivation. That's why, Ashlyn, I can actually ask all the listeners, pick up a pen, write a couple of lines, and you'll realize that when you're writing, your brain is actually telling you, oh, enough, don't write too much. Or sometimes you enjoy writing, that's why you continue to write. And sometimes you develop resistance because any new thing you bring in, your body gives you more reasons not to do than actually do it. It's just like a habit, right? Picking up a new habit.
Correct. Absolutely. So, do you have examples on stories of people that you worked with on how handwriting has changed them as a person, or the way that they write has changed them as a person?
Thousands of them.
Okay.
If you come to my community, sometimes we don't use the names because it's very personal now, so to safeguard their privacy. But what exactly happens when you change handwriting? Let me tell you that. I'm not talking about you actually making more money, or you venturing out, you getting married. No, that's all on a different level. But I'm talking about more non-tangible things like you can't measure, like your self-esteem. Most of us, as in, we have a lot of people have low self-esteem, and they don't know first to identify it. Because we think, okay, everything is fine in our life, and just that I just need to fix my career, I just need to fix my finances, things will. No, some of the times it's a game of your mind. You have low self-esteem. What is self-esteem? A beautiful combination of self-respect and self-confidence coming together. Most of us don't take action until you're pushed to take it. And once you're pushed, you go, you conquer, and you win, and you come back to say, thank man, if you're not pushed, I've never done that.
Correct.
Right? So we need to work on your self-esteem, and handwriting and graphotherapy helps you to, first thing is improve your self-esteem. Number two, it brings in the coordination between your conscious and the subconscious mind. Okay, so consciously, as in, we all have a very beautiful self-image. We always want to present the best of ours, the first impression, everything. But subconsciously, we have a lot of fears, a lot of defense mechanisms, a lot of self-doubt. And handwriting analysis basically helps you in identifying all these things. That's why we use graphotherapy, and we first identify and then we make you change. So this is what happens. I have seen people who had dejection in their writing, and in the personality, I had people who had fear of success. Oh, can I elaborate on this? Fear of success. Yeah, I know most of you might be thinking, Imran, fear of failure. We know what is fear of success. I should tell you this, ladies and gentlemen, subconsciously, you start avoiding success. You start becoming the roadblock to your own growth. Why? Success brings changes. And people don't like changes. Our brain does not like changes. So the moment you see that the success is going to bring in change, you start resisting it. You'll find reasons not to take up. Okay, I can give you a lot of examples. One, let us take about all the wonderful ladies who work, who create wonderful careers. And when it comes to taking the next step in their career, they always think, oh, if I take this responsibility, I'll not be able to give enough time to my family, or my children need my time, and they don't want to take up. So they're very happily doing the same thing for past 10 years, 15 years, same designation. And some of the people don't want to take promotions. You know why? It will require them to shift cities. So can you see that the subconsciously, the moment you feel that, okay, this is going to bring in change or more responsibility and all these things, you resist success. You know what? All this isn't happening on a subconscious level. You don't even know this. So
Correct.
handwriting actually helps you to unlock, clear all these roadblocks, and you become the in charge. You exactly know what you're doing, and you exactly know why you're not doing it.
How does this happen?
It's a conditioning, as in most of us, when we are growing up, we all are conditioned in many ways. For example, as in, if I tell you the word money, what comes to your mind?
The ability to make more money.
My ability to make money. So that's a very powerful way of looking at it. When I ask the same question to all the listeners out there, I'm sure everybody had one answer getting popped up. For some people, money is power. For some people, money is necessity. For some people, money is luxury. For some people, money is a power to buy what they want. So can you see that if you open up the dictionary, money has a different definition, universal definition, but you have your own definition, right? And this is what people don't, you're not even aware of this. You know why? You are conditioned that way. And all your life, no matter how much money you make, but if money is power to you, the moment until you, feel that power, this money is not good for you. So
Correct.
until you don't have that, luxury, this money is not good enough for you. So you need to understand what is your conditioning. The same thing, the same problem with relations. Why are we not happy? Because our conditioning is that when they say marriage, people have their own definitions. When we say career, health, everything, I actually work with people to create new framework of their, definitions. You need to have a vocabulary of yours. Stop following what people have to say. That's why, as in I say, most of the people I tell don't even follow affirmations. You know why? It is defined by somebody else. You need to write something which is for you, which you resonate with, which you follow, and that's where the power comes in.
That is so powerful. And all of this can happen with handwriting, with writing. And how does
Not
that change?
Oh, awesome. That's a great question. Now, Imran, what is the connect? The connect is when I look into your handwriting, I get a gateway to your subconscious mind. And all the things which I spoke right now is a storehouse of in your subconscious mind. So handwriting is the easiest and the accurate way of accessing your subconscious mind. And that's what we do. When we look into your handwriting, we understand your belief system, we understand your fear, we understand your defense mechanism, and we start evaluating. And then that's where the correction happens. So I use handwriting to reach out to your subconscious mind.
Can you give us like a few examples of how or what you look out for in handwriting? Because now I'm super curious about this, right? So I don't know if it's possible or not to explain it to us, but like if you can like say, when I look at this aspect of it, I look at this aspect of it, like what would you look at?
Okay, very good question. As in when I talk about handwriting analysis, people have this perception, Imran, if somebody writes a Y like this, they are like that. If somebody writes a T like this, they are like that. No, ladies and gentlemen, handwriting analysis is not about match the following.
Okay.
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 And that's what the Google does. That's what the so-called handwriting analysts tell you. But as a penmanship influencer, I tell you the truth. The truth is, it's not about the letters. It's about the way you write the letters. Okay, so we have something called as strokes, strokes. So what your letters is made up of a stroke. So people write different styles of S. People write an S which has an 8 formation. People have an S which is just like an regular way. So you need to understand your stroke formation. So Dr. Ashdin, I'm going to be looking at the stroke formation, and that's how we decode it. So it's not about 1Y is equal to this, because no, it does not work. You know why? Everybody writes uniquely. As in, your handwriting is as unique as your fingerprints. And there was a research done in the early 2001. It was published in the Hindu newspaper talking about in the Buffalo University, they developed a software to identify unique strokes in everybody's handwriting. And as per the algorithm, the answer they came out with was the chances of two handwritings being the same is 1 in 68 trillion samples.
Oh, sheesh. Okay, fine.
And this is how unique your handwriting is. And you know what? When I read this report, I was not surprised at all. Why? We are unique. You don't realize that. Every person is unique. And the God has many ways to tell you. Even in fact, the handwriting is also now telling you that by the way you think, the way you react, the way you understand, nobody else can do it. And most of us don't realize, and most of us don't even work on the unique factors. We're always looking at duplicating. That's why there's a very beautiful saying. We all are born unique, and we work towards us to duplicating somebody else, and we spend our life into it, right?
Correct. Absolutely. And we want our little mini me's around us, and hopefully they will live out our life ambitions for us. Imran, people listening are now going to be wondering, okay, what can I start doing from today onwards, right? So what can people start doing from today onwards with regards to creating this mental and hand connect that you were talking about?
Simple thing, don't think too much. Too much of evaluation, too much of analysis also leads to paralysis. That's why people don't take action. So if I, as in, if I tell them people to get on to writing tomorrow, the first question they're going to ask me is, Imran, what type of pens? I'm more comfortable with pencils. No, don't pick up pencil. Pencil has its own effort, impact on your writing. So pick up a pen and whatever you're comfortable with to do right now, and get on to writing. And first thing what you need to do is sit down and identify the 5 important areas of your life, and identify where you are standing in this area and where you want to create. So what I do is I work with people, and I ask them to create their mental frames. Okay, and you need to define these mental frames and create it. For example, when I talked about money, something came into your mind, so that is your existing mental frame. The second thing what you need to do is reprogram that. So write down a new relationship with the money. Right, so you need to undo that, bring in more powerful relationship with money, more powerful, more relationship with your marriage, in your relationship with your existing in your business. So all these things is very important. So pick up and define it. So when you sit down and when you start writing it, you see that the way the flow of thought happens, and you'll be surprised the type of information which is going to come onto the paper, the type of intensity you're going to bring it on the paper. You will be surprised to see that, Imran, I never thought I could actually think so much about one dimension of my life, be it money, be it health. And you'll see that, why? You're talking to yourself when you write. And when, I love asking questions to people. You know why, Ashdin? When you ask questions, your subconscious mind becomes active, and that's where you get present to it. And that's why what do you do when you do meditation, everything? You're activating your mind side. Why? Your introspection is where you bring in more awareness of your subconscious mind. So when you write, you're actually bringing that state of mind where your subconscious is more active.
Correct.
So that's why you need to sit down when you write down. And yeah, this is the first area to do. And then you define your goals. Then you add timelines. See, what is goals? It's a timelining. So you want this in your relationship, you want this in your career. Now define timelines, and then write down 5 things which you're going to be working towards to achieve this timeline. So simple.
Okay. What are your 5 areas that you're going to work on? What is the belief systems that you're planning on changing in those areas? What are the current ones? What is it that you want to bring in? And the goals that you're going to get in towards putting this. Just start writing this down. Yeah. Not just thinking about it, but actually physically writing this down, and you'll start seeing a difference. Yeah. Imran, when you were talking, this reminded me of something that happened with a client of mine. So she had come and she was complaining of shoulder pain and neck and just general tightness for the longest time. And I realized that it was a stress related thing. So I told her, go into the other room. I'm setting a timer for 20 minutes. You go and just free flow write whatever's coming to you. After 20 minutes, I went to her. She said, no, please give me 10 minutes more. So half an hour she was writing. She came back and said that I don't have any pain in my shoulder, any pain in my neck at all. Because all that stress had now come out on that paper. And it is genuinely that powerful. Absolutely.
Yeah. Handwriting lets you, that's a beautiful way of expressing your emotion now. Even today, a handwritten note means a lot compared to an email send or a printed letter and things like that. So that's why, as in, no matter how many printouts you take, what makes that document valid is your signature, right?
Absolutely. Imran, before we get onto the signature, which is important, I want to get there. Is there an emotional connect between the color of the ink that you use?
Yes, everything around you has an influence on you, Ashdin. The shapes, the buildings, the type of window structures you have, the type of ventilation you have, the colors, the shapes, because human beings are very sensitive to all these things. And that's why we all evolved from the caves to, a concrete jungle to a, organic approach towards life. So everything matters. Yes, ink has an influence. The shape, the fragrance which is coming out of the ink actually impacts. So everything has.
Oh, wow.
So everything has an impact. Yeah.
I remember a girlfriend in college writing to me in one perfumed ink pen.
Perfumed,
yeah. But tell me about the colors. Like, what are the different colors and how do they influence? Is there any study on that done?
Yeah, there is a lot of studies available, but again, I don't want to generalize it. So I don't want to tell, okay, because everybody has their own relationship with the colors. Okay, for example, for me, my power color is black. For some people, their power color might be something else. So also what is important is please spend some time in identifying what resonates with your personality. There are some colors which we subconsciously avoid. There are some colors which subconsciously you get attracted towards it. So you need to spend some time. And I believe everything is personalized. Everything is personalized. There's nothing general. As in, so when it comes to colors also, I want people to identify what works for them. And same thing, your words, your dress, everything has an impact on it.
So interesting. So, like for example, red would be a dreaded color for me because of the school marks and the remarks that I got on my
Yeah.
exam. But
Yeah.
for somebody, red might be that power color for them.
Yeah.
Correct?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And some
Fantastic.
people love writing in the black ink, and for some people, black ink brings in more poise to your personality. For some people, it brings. But for some people, it could be a sense of being more grateful, and the gratitude is coming out. So if we have different emotions attached to colors, and that's what I tell ladies and gentlemen, you need to spend some time in identifying and getting to know yourself more better. What you like, what resonates with you, what are your belief systems, what are your core principles, ideology. Stop following people. And that's why, as you know, I always tell people, sit down, write down your principles. What is your code of honor of your life? What are the things you do? What you think you are sure you're not going to do? Most of us don't even have it. And I always tell people, if you don't have ideology and principles where you're going to be operating your life, you'll end up following somebody else. Okay. And then you can't complain because you did not create it for yourself, and then you do it. So
Correct.
now the moment I say this, now everybody wants to have a very different approach towards नहीं ऐसा ही होना चाहिए नहीं पहले आप लिखना शुरू कीजिए you start, take action, and
Take
then
action.
you can predefine it over when you're growing up.
Lovely.
And bring this in your children. Bring code of honor for the family, code of honor in the work, and that's why companies have the code of honor, right? And you follow it as an employee.
Correct.
So that's what I'm telling you. If you don't have it, you'll end up following somebody else.
Somebody else. So true. So true.
We're going to take a quick break. See you on the other side.
Working Monday to Friday glued to your chair making you feel dull? Worry not. Get your 5-minute weekly dose of travel around the world with postcards from nowhere. Join me every Thursday as I explore the strange, obscure, and fascinating parts of the world and bring out facets of travel you may not have thought of before. You can find us on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcast from.
Welcome back. All right, let's jump into the conversation.
Signatures. Tell us about signatures.
Oh, awesome. Most of you consider, Imran, who signs nowadays, everything is digital, even the signatures are actually getting digital signatures, things like that. I should tell you this, even today, your signature is so powerful that one signature of yours can actually transfer property worth of crores to one person to the another person. What? One signature. Apart from your photograph on your passport, on your driving license, you're identified with your signature. So if you're sitting there and telling me, Imran, no, signature is not important, no, it is very, very much important. And you know what? This is something which is very close to you. And I always tell people, your signature is your biggest affirmation. Your signature is your biggest affirmation. So if you don't get it right, you're actually operating in a dual perspective. You know what? You are something inside and you're projecting something. I want your signature to be the same, communicating the same thing. Okay, let me give an example right now. Most of us, they have our own signature is influenced by people around us. Okay, we saw our teacher signing, we saw our father doing it, we saw our somebody who a famous personality had this beautiful style of writing that letter, and we started doing that without even understanding the influence it has on us. So the struggle is like this, as in we want to stand out, we want to create our own identity, and we want to be known for who you are as a person. But you know what your signature is saying, that you still have your roots, your influence from your family. So even today you're looking for validation to your decisions. Even today you're looking for getting acknowledgement for what you're going to do. So can you see that somewhere consciously you struggling to create your identity, but subconsciously you're still looking for validation. So this is what is happening. So your signature is a universal communication, because every time you sign, you're putting across a message to the universe and also to the message to your subconscious mind that you're like this. But you're actually want to be something else. So that's where the conflict is. So when I work with people, it's not about changing signature. It's not about adding a letter to your signature. What is important is first identify subconsciously what is your signature communicating to people. And then you need to be identifying and working on it. As in, it's very simple. When I know most of the people, when they come to me, I ask them a question. Have you come across times where people at the first instance took you as an arrogant or somebody very cold, somebody not really warming up? But as and when they started spending time with you, they realize, oh, you're not like that, what I presumed about you. And this is exactly what is happening with your signature too. People take less than 7 seconds to create an image out of you. And if you're not projecting the right, that's why you lose contacts. That's why you're not growing in your career. That's why people don't want to have conversations with you. And this is what it's important. Subconscious and this conscious, you need to bring in harmony. You need to present the same communication, and that's where it's happening.
Wow. Okay. So what are things to now start looking out for in your signatures? Are there things that so let's say I write my signature and look at it, right? What are the elements of it that I should immediately start evaluating?
Surely. Before that, Ashton, stop making your signatures complicated, because most of the people think they make complicated. It is forge proof. Imran, simple nahi hona chahiye. It has to be definitely complicated because it should never be get copied. But I should tell you this: 17, 18 years of being into this field, I have seen experts who can copy anything. And top bureaucrats' handwriting has been forged. So there is no signature which is forge proof. Let me say this again: no signature is a forge proof. Anybody. The one interesting thing, Ashdin, is the more complicated your signature is, the more easy it is to duplicate. Right?
Okay.
Okay. So remove the theory that it is complicated. Number two, most of us have this, subconscious, I think, बहुत simple हो गया Imran signature. Why you want to add extravagance to the signature? It's like this. Some work, any work which can be done in this particular energy zone, why you want to spend more energy? That's why extravagance. That's why people end up more energy on things which is not relevant. So stop making your signatures extravagant, adding similes and graphics and things like that. The more simple you keep it, the more transparent it is, and that's how people connect with you. People love simplicity and transparency. So if you want people to connect with you, want to do business with you, you need to keep your signature simple and authentic, because authenticity shows up when you have a very clear, readable signature. So when I say readable, at least your first name or the second name should be readable. And that's the first start towards it.
Okay. What does it mean when people have their first name, second name, initials, etc., etc.? What are aspects of those?
Great. And in India, we have a very beautiful approach. Our name has a lot of elements to us. Okay. And when we say surname, it's we have surnames are defined as, it could be your spouse, it could be your father's name, it could be a family name, it could be the region which you belong to. So we have a lot of elements to it. So when you have your name and your father's name or your spouse's name adds to that, so it's nothing wrong about it. But what you need to also understand is that when you're representing, you're not only representing yourself, but also the value system of your family, value system of your spouse, value system. So you need to resonate with both. And most of us have this conflict, right? Some of us, we don't want to acknowledge our family, the roots we come from, because what you have become, grown up to become, is a different person than your family. Nothing wrong about it, but somewhere, we have this internal conflict about ideology, principles. You are very different than your family is, and all these things will show up in your signature.
Okay.
And some of us have resentment towards our family members. See, when I say family, it involves everybody: spouse, father, mother, or a family, or what they stand for or represent. And what is resentment? It's a very, very powerful emotion, Ashdin. I always tell a beautiful example about resentment is you drinking poison and expecting somebody else to die. So what is resentment is you holding somebody responsible for your failures in your life. I'm sure everybody will relate to this. I wanted to become a doctor, but my father made me an engineer. Okay, I wanted to marry XYZ, but I ended up married this. So every time now something goes wrong, you being a doctor, you always have a reference point to say, अगर वो नहीं होता तो I would have been a different person today. If not, so this is called resentment. And your signature is speaking aloud. And I see this in your signature when you write your name bigger than your family name, or you have a strike through on your surname compared to your name, where your name is standing out in the signature than your family name. Sometimes we overwrite, sometimes we scratch through that, sometimes our size is lesser, the surname size is lesser compared to the first name. So many more elements like this. I don't want to be too general, Ashdin, because as I've been maintaining, every stroke counts.
Correct.
But I'm just giving you a reference point.
And it's unique.
Yeah, it's unique.
And hence it's open to the interpretation that you've acquired from so many years of working on this. That is, I know I'm asking for a very simplistic way of approaching it, saying, first time I'm looking at my signature, tell me what to think about. I realize that. But it is a skill set that you have to develop to understand.
And don't fall. I don't make changes. See, change is good, but being responsible towards change is very important. And most of us don't get this right. Sometimes we end up changing what is working for us.
Interesting. So like when I look at my signature, for example, I find my signature being too staccato, which is kach, 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 kach. Like there's too many jaggedy lines as compared to somebody else's signature, which is flowy. And I would want that flowy aspect to come into my signature. Is that something that I should start thinking about and saying, okay, this is the way that I want to change my signature? Like how would I approach that?
Okay, first, I'll tell you. So I have not seen your signature. So I'm going with the stroke description you gave me. So I understood it is needle pointed, very, very angular shape of writing. So angular and needle pointed talks about curiosity, talks about comprehension ability. So you are basically a comprehensive thinker. So you're very fast, you're very quick. You get put off with people who are very slow, and you don't have to reread it. You read it, you get that. So you operate your life with a particular speed. Okay, so this is what I could interpret just by your description or the stroke formation.
Bloody
Now
accurate.
the question is, sorry?
I said bloody accurate.
Yeah, so now if you get on to writing flowy and things like that, you tend to become a procedural person. And you will become somebody who is looking every aspect of life as a process. A decision is a process. Learning is a process. And now can you see that you're contradicting yourself, what you love to be and what you want to be?
Interesting.
Right? So as in,
I definitely don't want to be the process person. So
yeah, so for you it's all about, I said it, it happens. For you, speed works. Right, so that's what I want you to all educate you all. First, understand. Tell me what you are and how we are. We need to identify and then talk about changes. Now, imagine if I tell you, okay, you want flowy. I can make you a beautiful design. Okay, you can do this, but look at the repercussions you will have. You all of a sudden start feeling, Imran, I'm slowing down. I'm not liking what is happening. Earlier I was very quick at taking decisions. Now I want to look into all the pros and cons and everything. Earlier I used to read one night before the exam. I was performing better. Now I'm reading multiple times. Nothing is happening.
Correct. Yeah. Okay. Very scarily you described my life, but like correct. Absolutely. That is and just from my staccato signature. Okay, cool. So it's interesting to understand that don't try and randomly change it because like you said, and I think this beautifully brings back the first point that we mentioned in this podcast, which is that your mind is what is doing the writing, not your fingers. And it's not what is on the paper like that, but what is actually in your mind that is being represented. I think this example beautifully put everything together, especially for me, because now I've understood what it is that you were saying. Fantastic. Imran, is there anything else that we missed out on that you would want to share with our listeners about this particular topic?
Surely. I want to tell people, if you're very conscious about your signature and where you're signing and things like that, so let me give you certain etiquettes. Etiquette number 1, always have one specific pen which you use for signing. So when the court case comes up saying that, okay, this is forgery, this is not you. So you have a validation that every time you sign with a particular pen. Okay, so most of us are not even aware of it. So you need to have one specific pen for signatures. So that's why most of the top bureaucrats or top officials, they have that specific pen for signatures, and the person brings it to him, they sign and they take it back. Number 2, whenever you're signing, okay, stop. Most of us have this bad habit. You tend to sign everywhere. You see a plain sheet, an empty sheet, you tend to practice your signature everywhere. Bad habit. Never do that. And sign only when it's relevant. And when you're signing, don't keep multiple documents beneath. Pick up one sheet at a time, then you sign, and the next sheet comes in. I know it's a little bit of work, but you do it because sometimes when you have multiple sheets, you tend to leave your impression, so it's easy to forge.
Okay.
Okay.
This is especially important if you own a business because you have to sign sheets and sheets and sheets and sheets of papers at the year end. It's an absolute pain in the bum.
Yeah. So if your signature is valuable, that means so many things are at stake. So please take care of all these things. I can go on and giving, but I don't want to scare because people don't like too many restrictions and things like that. So start with this. Maybe that will really help you to fine tune it. And this is what I wanted to tell you. And signature is very, very powerful because I always tell this, one signature of yours can put you into lifetime of trouble. So be careful with your signatures and, get to understand and don't worry. If you want to change your signatures, the government of India allows you to change your signatures any number of times. The only restriction is in the name. So you can't change your name multiple times. You can only do it once. I know that's what the latest notification I am aware of. But you can change your signature. How? It's a very simple process. It's not going to be, costing you much. It is not a thing. It's just some process to be done. But before you get on to changing, first understand what is it speaking for you. Is it resonating with your conscious personality, what your image which you're representing? And that's what you need to be doing.
Brilliant. Imran, thank you so much for coming and discussing this with us. I absolutely love it. My mind has been blown. Imran, how can people get in touch with you, follow what you're doing, learn more about it?
Surely, it's my pleasure. Thank you, listeners, and thank you, Ashdin and the entire team. It was lovely to be here. This is part of my mission. I'm looking at reaching out to as many people as possible, give them this right approach, right education towards it. So please join me in my mission. Let's bring back more and more people come back to writing. So that's why reason I don't call myself as a handwriting expert or a graphologist or handwriting analyst. I call myself penmanship influencer. I want to influence people. So I talk to children. I tell them, become an young influencer. And let's bring back more and more people come back to writing. And that's the way forward. You can contact me on my website, imranbaig.com. You can reach out to on my social media handles, imranbaig.ib or ib.imranbaig on Facebook and Instagram. And you will definitely find more details on the comment section below.
Lovely. Imran, thank you so much for coming.
Pleasure is mine.
So start these habits and share with us your progress using the hashtag #TheHabitCoach. If you like this podcast, don't forget to check out other interesting podcasts on the IVM network. You can listen to us on the IVM Podcast app or ivmpodcast.com. You can also follow us on social media. We are at IVM Podcasts on Twitter and Instagram. If you want to reach out to me, I am Ashdin Doc on Twitter and Instagram. You can find lots more information on my website, awesome180.com, or check out different content on my YouTube channel called AWESOME180. That's Awesome180.
Hey, it's been another great week on the IVM Podcast Network. On Advertising is Dead, Varun talks to Anil Vishwanathan of Mondelez India. They discuss the beloved Cadbury brand and its campaigns over the years. On Speakeasy, Dheeraj is in conversation with Ranjit Pratap Singh, the CEO and co-founder of Pratilipi. Hey, that's our parent company. They talk about how Ranjit tapped into the need for non-English storytelling content and created a company with over 30 million readers worldwide. On Smarter with Sid, resolved to have better resolutions. Sid tells us how understanding the difference between objectives and outcomes can be liberating. On Tere Mere Raaste, Keshu takes us to Dubai, world of skyscrapers, world-class infrastructure, glittering malls, and massive boulevards. On the Life Manifesto, Zarina goes over the concept of self-abandonment. She explains the do's and don'ts of dealing with it. Do follow us on social media. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. If you're enjoying this show or any of our other shows for that matter, do tell a friend. The word of mouth absolutely is essential to us. Don't forget to rate us on any of the platforms that you've been listening to. And also, I'd like to ask everybody to check us out on YouTube. We have a number of channels going. You can find all of them on ivmpodcast.com/YouTube. And finally, we'd like to thank our sponsors this week, Cred, Bank of Baroda, CoinSwitch, Kuber, and Intel. Thank you so much for making this possible.
Remember the days when our granny used to narrate once upon a time stories? Let's bring back the good old days of moral stories with Storytime Tamil. Hi, I am Ravishankar Balachandran, host of Storytime Tamil podcast. I would like you to entertain and educate your children with stories from Storytime Tamil. Tune in to the new episode sharp at 7 p.m. every day on IVM website, IVM podcast app, YouTube channel, or wherever you get your podcast from.